Hughie Fury took another loss this weekend in a fight that, for all intents and purposes, was there for him to win. And yet again, he just thought that by doing the bare minimum, he'd get, the decision, and that'd be all she wrote, and he can move on. And again, post fight, he just kind of looked and went, well, I thought I nicked it. And I definitely think something needs to change with Hughie Fury. Now, when I done that post-fight review for Hughie Fury versus Povetkin, that was immediately after the scorecards were read out, which is what I normally do. I normally, as soon as the fight ends, I'm recording that post-fight straight away. And in that post-fight review, I was very, very, very critical of Hughie Fury. And a lot of people seen that. At this minute in time, that video was at 13,500 views. So a hell of a lot of people seeing that video. And I stand by everything I said about Hughie Fury in that video. And I'm going to go into detail a bit in this video as to why I feel something seriously needs to change with Hughie Fury. And I don't just mean his style. His style is, for him, there's nothing wrong with his style. He's a back foot, kind of safety first fighter. That works well for him, but you can't be just exclusively back foot, throwing these little pitter-patter punches, not really landing, and expecting to, win rounds, win decisions, when you've got a guy in there who's trying to press the action, who may be landing one or two power shots. He might not be landing flush power shots, but he's the one trying to make a fight. He's trying to be the aggressor. He's effective with his aggression to some extent, which is what Povetkin was. He didn't land much on Fury, but when he did, they were more telling shots. And I bring this back to this time 2 years ago, because it was this time 2 years ago we saw Hughie Fury versus Joseph Parker, okay? And similar to the Povetkin fight, okay? I think he was a bit more negative against Parker, to be fair, than he was against Povetkin. But when I look back at that Parker fight, and even when I watched it live, because it was not a great fight, it was a stinker. But if you watch that version of Joseph Parker who fought Hughie Fury that night, that version of Joseph Parker was shocking. He was well over 245 pounds. He was plodding all over the ring. He had very slow timing, slow feet. His hand speed didn't even look that good. So that Joseph Parker, if that Joseph Parker went in there and fought Anthony Joshua, he would not have gotten 12 rounds like the Joseph Parker who we saw at the Principality Stadium. Okay? He would have been wiped out by Anthony Joshua. He would have been wiped out by Dylan White. He would have been wiped out by Deontay Wilder. That Joseph Parker was there for the taking. And although Hughie Fury was the home fighter, because that fight happened in Manchester, he felt the need to box a very negative, very cautious fight, not take the bull by the horn. And that being said, I don't think he would have ever stopped Joseph Parker, but I think that the rounds that were close, he could have nicked if he just got a bit meaner, dug down a bit, and put his foot on the gas. Because although it was a close fight, I felt that the right man won that fight in Joseph Parker. Likewise, when I look at Povetkin, I think Povetkin, although Povetkin really did show his age in that fight, I do think that he wasn't as plodding as a Joseph Parker, because Povetkin's not really the heaviest heavyweight in the world. He didn't look as plodding as Parker did that night, and his timing didn't seem as off as Parker's did that night, because Parker's timing was shocking. So with Povetkin, I think it was a more clear victory for Povetkin than it was in the Parker fight. But having said that, Povetkin was there for the taking. I really did think that Povetkin had a little bit more left in the tank than this, and that he would have probably beaten Hughie Fury. Not necessarily massively convincingly, but convincingly enough. Might even put him down a few times. Okay, that version of Alexander Povetkin. Now, I'm going to make a bold statement when I say this, but I'm going to tell you now. If you got Daniel Dubois and put him in the ring on last Saturday against Povetkin, I think Daniel Dubois would have beaten him. Seriously, I think Povetkin is there for the taking. And I've seen Povetkin come out and say, well, there's one Fury down and now he wants another. Tyson Fury would have an absolute field day with Alexander Povetkin. Seriously. Povetkin was knackered, he was gassed. And as I said, I watched this fight on the ESPN commentary. ESPN were announcing the fight. And Andre Ward was urging Hughie Fury to stop trying to make this a sparring session and to just go for it. He even said, Povetkin is dead tired. He's got the guy in front of him. Why are you letting him get a second win? Why are you just so happy to just kind of box cautiously, box negatively, and box safety first? Because the only time I've ever really seen Hughie Fury let his hands go is when he's in there with an opponent who was neither a puncher nor anywhere near his level, like a Sam Sexton or the guy he fought there back in May. He let his hands go in them fights. He punched a bit in them fights. Neither guy is known as a big puncher. Sam Sexton, even in his prime, was British level at best. So he can do it when he fights them kind of guys. But when he steps up to world level, not necessarily against Pulev, because Pulev is the biggest puncher in the world, but when he steps up to world level, he just doesn't seem to want to be willing to let his hands go. And even with punchers, because I noticed that when he fought Sam Peter, who was ancient, who was slow as anything, who was older than Povetkin for all intents and purposes, he didn't want to let his hands go in that fight. He was almost more negative against Peters than he was against Povetkin. Seriously, go back and watch it. Extremely negative. And part of me wonders why that is. Because Hughie Fury, he's taken a few shots. Doesn't seem to have a bad chin. If he has a bad chin, he'd be down from some of them shots. So it makes me wonder why Hughie Fury boxes like that. And why he's so keen to just try and nick around here and there and not go for it, when he really should. Tim Bradley said, or was it Andre Ward, that Hughie Fury is a poor man's version of his cousin Tyson. And I have to agree. He is. He's nowhere near as talented, probably doesn't hit as hard, and doesn't have that aggression. Even though Tyson Fury, he does try and win his fights on points, he does try and, kind of put on a boxing display, he can get vicious and he can get aggressive when he needs to. He can. And I just don't see that in Hughie Fury. I would go as far as say I think that Hughie Fury's biggest problem, and I rate Peter Fury as a trainer, but a father-son training together, doing all that, I don't think Peter Fury is the trainer for Hughie Fury. I don't. I think that he would need a Virgil Hunter, maybe even a Ben Davison, but as they said on ESPN, Tyson Fury and Hughie are not on speaking terms these days, so Ben Davison might not be a good shout. I think Virgil Hunter be a decent shout. Virgil Hunter may be a decent shout of a trainer. If he's looking for an American trainer, if he's looking for a UK trainer, maybe Shane McGuigan. But I think Hughie Fury needs to get rid of his uncle Peter, or his dad Peter, because although Peter Fury is a good trainer, I just don't think that Peter Fury has instilled that drive in his son Hughie. If you remember back to, I'm going back to Joseph Parker again. If you remember back to when Parker was, I think Parker's team won the purse bid when that fight originally was announced. And that fight was going to be in New Zealand. And it emerged that Peter Fury couldn't travel to New Zealand because he had some sort of conviction. So basically, Hughie Fury didn't want the fight, essentially. They said some kind of back injury and they had to fork out an enormous amount of money to get this fight in the UK. We've seen Hughie Fury and Team Fury, I should say, turn down fights with Dylan White, Joe Joyce, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. Why? Why did I turn down these fights? And they've had to take fights against guys like Kubrat Pulev in Bulgaria because they've had no other option to go. Why? I seen someone say that when you watch Hughie Fury, you watch him go to British level and not even fully fledged British level, and then he jumps up to world level. And it really shows. It really shows that he's had no kind of stopgap in between. He's not had a European title fight. He's not fought at European level. He's not fought at fringe world level. If you think about it. I mean, Rudenko, would he be fringe world level? Meh, you could say that. Probably not really, to be fair. But that's kind of the farthest as Hughie Fury's gone. He's fought at British level and gone straight to world level and the world level guys. And he's been found wanting. I definitely think that Hughie Fury moving forward, as good a trainer as Peter Fury is, and he is a good trainer, I don't think he's right for Hughie Fury. And I think Eddie Hearn will be looking at Hughie Fury and just thinking, man, I fucked up big time signing this guy, because Hughie Fury does not put butts in seats and he doesn't entertain when he's on the TV, basically. So that's my thoughts on this. Let me know what you feel down below. Do you agree with what I had to say in this video? Do you think Hughie Fury needs to change up things soon? I think he needs to change his style a little bit. I think he needs to be more aggressive. And I think he may need to get rid of Peter. He may need to. Because you don't often see father-son relationships in boxing really go that well. You know, I don't think it's... And the problem with that is that it's very weird. It's very probably hard for them to keep it, you know, professional and then, you know, personal at the same time. So I could see that kind of being difficult. That's my thoughts on this. Leave yours down below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I will talk to you after.